I want to say wonderful performance to the board, to the management. We don't always get to see the management, of course, except, Mrs. Segman and Pat, at AGM. So this was really, really good. And thank you for the detailed presentation. As an investor, just a quick few questions. But one of them is not in the presentation necessarily, but in the release yesterday of the results, there was about 79 million in other income. I just want to clarify what that other income is. It could be rent, obviously, but the other mention is, you had mentioned some property sales. Are those going to be in the second half, or are they included in the first half? So that was the first question. The second piece is, I'm sure you guys are very, very smart, and I know you do hedge, but whereas Forex hedging for dollars, it makes sense. What about, since we have price controls, are there any issues with, does it make sense, or do you hedge for actual purchases of, crude or refined products, as opposed to just, dollars or Forex? The third question is, just for my calculations for earnings per share, because of the ESOP shares and, all sorts of stuff, what are the weighted average shares that we have as of 30th June? If you have that number, that would be great. The CP had been mentioned. If it's not too soon, what sort of numbers are we looking at? What sort of not capital raising, but debt raising would we be looking at under the commercial paper program? All right, thank you.
Okay, a few questions. Most of them, I think that Pat and maybe JJ will respond on the 79. First, it is in the first half, yes, but we'll explain to you. Pat, you want?
Yeah, the 79 million is really the profit on the sale of the properties that Mr. Segman mentioned. So it's already in there. It was really non-performing assets that we sold. We have a look at the performances of our assets all the time, and it was properties that we had sold. So it's already in the first half. Okay.
Actually, if you recall, we mentioned it some years back, that while we are doing all these sort of creative activities and creative marketing and development of business lines and so on, we always, on regular basis, review the assets base and do rationalization. And where there is an opportunity to realize by selling, we do so, okay? And where we see there is no fair return on that investment, and if you compare it to a sale, we do so. I can tell you other places where we considered to sell, and then we backed off and we said, no, we can actually do better by actually developing the land. And one project is, which I think some of you know, in Addis Ababa, there is a very big piece of land. We thought to sell it, not long ago actually. We thought to sell it and realize a substantial capital gain, but then in retrospect, we said, hey, but there is an opportunity here for developing, real estate with a partner in this business, and venture into this business activities. Hedging is a very complex issue, and I may say, yeah, you're right, and there is there are hedging done. We have been doing hedging of Forex products, not crude, never done crude, and I explain to you why. It's a long explanation, but we never done crude. Products we do where it is required. Remind you, this group does not deal with any paper trading. We all do physical trading. So when it comes to physical and hedging, you need to check whether there is a natural hedging, and why do you need to introduce a paper hedging on products. On crude, for certain, there is no need. And I don't want to go into it because it's going to be a long explanation. On crude, there is no reason to do. On products, some of them we do when it is required. When it is not required, and we know there is a natural hedging, and I can explain to you that we do. Means we don't do. What do? We do hedging on spreads between Hedgie and Med on certain products mainly related to aviation, where you buy on one market, which is the hedgy Platts quotations, and you sell on a different market, which is the Med Platts quotations, and you try to at least secure a certain spread, and you do it through a swap, and usually you do it with the foreign banks. You do maybe, to a certain extent, fuel oil, okay? You do when you sell, but you sell in a different timing spread, and then you try to make sure that you at least back-to-back, you create a back-to-back, though it is a different timing and so on. We've done MOGAS deals, hedging, this kind of things. Most of our physical, and mind you, we only trade and deal with physical, most of it is hedged naturally by the local markets, by the contracts we have with the consumers, whether it is a commercial consumer or a power sector, and so on and so on. So, we need to, we need to be very careful of getting into speculative kind of hedging or trading, and which can actually be a very, risky and bloody, and we don't want to. So I tell you, your management, and I know you are a shareholder, is a very responsible management, does not go beyond, that these rules of trading physical, hedging where it is required, don't hedge for speculative purposes whatsoever. Okay, the weighted average shares, I think we have it, yes. But
On the shares, it's exactly the same as the share capital that's issued, the 1.47 billion shares that's issued. The only ESOP that's there, it's still the 9 million that we originally had. The tranche that was approved by the AGM earlier in the year is not issued yet, so that will come later. So it's straightforward, still at the stage.
it's still the same.
Yes.
And if you recall, I think I told you some time back that you asked me. Anyhow, on the CP, I think I mentioned, if I didn't, it's about $20 million. It's 1.5 billion shillings. That's the capital we are looking to raise through the CP. We got it approved, and we are in the market in very short time again to borrow.
Kestrel will be marketing it for us.
My name is Susan Batia from IC Asset Management. I wanted to ask if you have a breakdown of each country's contribution to the bottom line.
Of course we do. Of course we do, but you need to understand the way we are running this group of companies is on two levels. Of course, it is at the country level and the business line or the functional level. And especially when it comes to analyzing profitability and working out the P&L, we prefer to look at the business line or the function results rather than the country. Not that it is not important, it is very much important. And by the way, that was debated yesterday in our board meeting a lot. And by the way, I mentioned that one of the directors will join us. He actually joined us early, and he is behind sitting with Kestrel. Let me just introduce him, Mr. Per Jacobson. Per? Oh, he left, sorry. Okay. And that was discussed yesterday. How do we focus on the business, and what is our vision in terms of managing this business? And I tell you, there are many multinationals who run their organizations, especially the group ones, on a functional basis, and then they create positions called country chairman, country manager, where the responsibility of him is very much limited to almost only administrative aspects. We want our managers, country managers or general managers, to become all-round oil people who understand all the businesses. So when we sit with them, and I can tell you we are sitting as a group management team, we are sitting on coming Friday, Saturday in Nairobi. When we sit with them, we analyze the business lines. as the main aspect. And you can see why, by the way, and I don't want to go into more details to explain. The beauty of this business line analysis is that it gives you an idea where you should shift, where the margins are compared to others, and where you shift the focus in terms of management, in terms of marketing and so on, from which business line or where to put more focus vis-a-vis other business lines. I think it's the key for the success. That's the way I believe you run a very complex group, a multinational oil company like Enokobil. It's a multinational. Yes? That's the way we do it. We do have, but that's not what we are focusing on. Please.